Hi, Best Buds. It's Cathy with Cathy's Garden, and I'm so happy that you've joined me today. Today in our project, we're going to be needing 3 pre-made envelopes. Now, I have chosen the envelopes with this style flap. It's going to help us when we put our closure on. All right, now I have also chosen to coffee dye my envelopes. This is your project. Make it the way you like it. Coffee dye them, don't coffee dye them. Ink them up, however you want to do it. It will turn out beautiful. So now what I want to do is I want to cover this portion. I particularly don't think this is pretty. Some people might think this is lovely. I would rather cover it up. So I have already done that. Let me bring in my envelopes here. Now, you're going to need to cover one of the envelopes completely, including the flap. On the inside, you guys, I'm not covering the outside. This is an easy way to use envelopes to make a trifold journal. So we're going to just do minimal lining, shall we say, covering. Okay, so I just covered the inside, including the flap. On these two, what I did was right here where the envelope folds. Now I have not folded them yet since I've glued them. So let's see. Let's get this folded so I can explain what I'm speaking of. Use my bone folder here. All right, so you can see that right here where it's folded, I went just a little bit over. I did the exact same thing on this side. I went just a little bit over so that when we place these together, that design won't be peeking its head through. Okay, so just like that, just a little bit over. This is going to be our first envelope. We want to place the flap going that way. The next one, we're going to place the flap right underneath this envelope like this. So it looks like that. And then we're going to be placing this one right here like this. And we're going to glue them into place. Now, when you do that, make sure that when you're adding your glue and you're placing it here, that you're able to fold this and that it's not going to bind. Don't put it so extremely close or over that you're not able to fold the second envelope up onto the first envelope. You're going to want to make sure that you can do this. And the same thing as when you put your glue on the flap here, that you place it in here so that you can fold it onto this one, and then this one can still fold onto that one. So it's like a trifold. It folds out. This journal is going to fold out, and then it's going to fold out. So you want to make sure that when you apply your glue, you place your envelope together, that you're still able to fold them up. Now I'm going to do just that. All right, so I have glued all 3 of my envelopes together. They look just like this. Now, when I close my envelopes up, I've got this flap, and I think I'd like to cover this flap. So I have a lot of different options. I could just cover just a little bit. I could tear some papers. I could do a little collage. I could use a digital, maybe something like this. This is Roxy's creation. Or I could use a piece of music paper. I could use something like this and only do partial and just have like a border around the edge. I'm not really sure what I want to do. I could even use a picture of something. Definitely, you could use some scrapbook paper. So I'm kind of leaning towards the music paper. So I think that's what I want to cover that with. So that is actually the back side. It's the middle one that we want to cover up. And I'm going to do that by adding my glue. Actually, I think I'll use the Yoo-Hoo glue stick. And I'm going to cover my envelope and add my paper. Alrighty, so I'm going to do that. Alrighty, so we've got it all glued together, and it's very obvious that you can stick all sorts of things in the pockets that are the envelope itself. And we can take pieces of paper. So what I did was I cut a piece of paper that was 3.5 by 3 inches. I folded down 1/2 inch, and then I laid it right here on this part of the envelope, and I folded it back right where the opening of the envelope is. And then folding it back on itself, I have created another tuck spot that you could add another piece of ephemera. So you actually have a tuck spot and a pocket, and you can do that for each one of the envelopes. You can also add a few little decorating elements. Here's a fussy cut rose, a label with another little rose, and another label. Now these labels are from Chapter 1 papers. I really truly have looked for years about where I purchased these from. I have no idea. I have a feeling they no longer exist, but I do love them. I have stuffed the little tuck spots as well as the pockets. Now I'm going to glue these down. Maybe I will add a little bit of lace here and there. Now it needs to be pretty flat lace. This is a thicker lace, and I'm afraid if I use this, it's going to make it too thick to close up, because I really do want to add a little signature inside here. There we are. I chose to add a little tiny ruffle, add a very thin lace. I added a little lace on the top and a little bit of lace in the tags, and I think that looks really nice. It's time for a signature. So I have some pages. Now this I purchased on Amazon, and it's, well, I don't even know if it's really handmade, but it looks like handmade paper. I've got some lined loose leaf notebook paper, some more of that, I'm going to call it handmade paper, and a coffee dyed copyweight paper. So I only have 4, and 3 of them are extremely thin. And I cut them so that they will fit perfectly right here. And I'd like to add it to the first fold, not the flap, but this one right here. So between the first and the second envelope, this is where I'd like to add my signature. You all know that I don't put a signature in my journals until I make my little cheat sheet, I guess you should say. It's usually about 1 inch to 2 inches wide, and it is as long as your journal. You're going to fold it in half the long way, then once again and once again, and you're going to crease the folds very well. When you open up your little piece of paper, where the folds intersect, that's where you're going to put a little dot. That is how you're going to sew your signature in, and you're going to get your spacing perfectly. No math needed. So I'm going to get right on it, and I'm going to sew the signature in. I've sewn my signature in. I added a few little beads right here. Let's look at this. So we still need to do our closure, but we have our little ruffle down here with our beads, and opening it up, we have our signature right away with the pocket and a tuck spot. And then we have our pages that we can journal on. And then we flip it out even further, and we have two more tuck spots here and two more here. Oh, I think it's turning out absolutely adorable. Now you can definitely decorate this as well if you wish. You could put even another tuck spot right here on this one, or you could leave it plain for journaling. That's all up to you. Let's do our closure now. So everything closes up nicely, as you can see. I'm going to get a paper clip and I'm going to close this and we're going to begin. All right, I believe I have what I need. I have my eyelet and the back of my eyelet. Now this is the box of my eyelets, 3/16 inch grommets eyelets set. I purchased this from Amazon. Then what I have is my regular standard size hole punch, and I have my little unit right here. I've got some beautiful sari silk. Look, I thought the polka dots would be fun this time, from Crimson Heart Studios. I'll link her shop down below. Now, I also thought it might be fun to add one of these little roses right on the front. So I do want to quickly run my sponge over my little cutout here and moving my paper clip. Do you hear my dog? He's snoring. Oh my goodness, he's so funny. Okay, so I'm going to glue that on. I'm going to use my art glitter glue and adding my glue. I think I'm just going to go around the edge. I'm afraid if I put it in the center, I might, yeah, it might chew because we're not going to have much time to dry. Now, where do I want to place my hole? Right here. Let's see. How about right here, I think. You don't want to put it too close to the edge because it will, I'm going to use this just for a second to see if I can get it that far in. I sure can. I'm going to use my standard hole punch. I'm going to punch out my hole right there, placing my eyelet in the top part, placing my back on. I know a lot of people don't use the back of an eyelet, but after time it will come loose because it's not grabbing hold of anything. Maybe the paper, but yeah, that's not good. So popping this in like this and then pressing it down. And there we are. We've got our eyelet. Now, if you don't have an eyelet, that's okay. You can use a hole saver. That works wonderfully as well. Popping this back on so that I can put my sari silk through the hole of my eyelet and making a beautiful bow. There we have it. Added a little bit more lace for decoration, and there you are. You have an easy envelope trifold junk journal. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up. I invite you to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. I'll see you there, guys. Bye now.